All right, everyone, this is Elyse Wyman, aka Mom. She is an LA native. She received her BA in Fine Arts from UCLA. She studied under Richard Diebenkorn, Jan Stussy, Llyn Foulkes, Joe Blaustein, and Robert Heinecken. She furthered her art education in Paris at the Académie de la Grande Chaumière. She has pursued parallel careers in both fine arts and graphic design. Her show is titled Naked Truth. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Celine.
Tell me about the inspiration, materials, and process.
Well, the inspiration is the human figure. I have always been drawn to the human figure. The artists with whom I studied, most of them were figurative artists, at least for part of their careers. So I just think the human body is a fascinating thing. And I wanted to be able to portray it in a very direct, forceful way without overthinking it, with just using simple materials. These are colored inks, and I would just splash the colored inks kind of in the direction of the movement of the model. These are all done from live models. And then you can't really control where it's going to go. When I finished splashing it, I would go back with charcoal and find the line of the body within the splash, within that kind of crazy freedom of just having literally thrown ink at the paper. So they're very direct. I tried not to overwork them. I wanted them to be fresh. I wanted them to feel like they were absolutely drawn from life. And I hope that I've achieved that. And then I have the sculptures as well that have been done from live models. And those are mostly, these are bronze. They're not solid bronze, they're cold cast bronzes, and very different, but also I wanted to feel the spirit of the figure within them. So I've kind of placed them in and around the gallery, and sort of like, little surprises where when you go around, they're like little surprise nuggets of sculpture.
Mom, who are your art parents?
My art parents, I actually have a lot of them, but certainly Richard Diebenkorn and Jan Stussy, and I think predating them, my grandparent is Matisse. You can see, the color and the line and the lively feeling and the nature. And from Diebenkorn, I really got a sense of composition and structure and calm. And from Stussy, who was kind of the opposite, I got a sense of aggressive use of different materials, piling it all on, and just like the other people that we're speaking, there must be something in the zeitgeist these days, because everybody wants to combine materials and ways of looking at things. So it's like, you have a painting that's also a drawing, that's also ink, that's, so there's all these different processes going on.
Thank you, Mom. Tell me one thing that you admire about the other artists that you're showing with.
Well, I was just saying, I admire their creativity and their processes. To go back and thank Liliana for her compliment to me, her colors, her shapes, they are very reminiscent to me, some of them, of Miro and Matisse. And the printmakers, Rhonda and Susan, with their multi-layered processes. I've always been intrigued with what Susan did about printing on metal. I've always thought that the metal plates were the most beautiful part of any print. So I'm very, very fortunate to be showing with this talented group.
So you talked a little bit about nudes, but my whole life it's always been nudes, and there was a brief interlude of Trump protest art, and now we're back to nudes. Please don't ever combine those two. But tell me a little bit more about why nudes speak to you, why the house is full of nudes, so that when I brought my friends over, the house was full of nudes.
Sorry. Didn't mean to get you in trouble. You know, it is funny. I just always looked at the human body as a source of inspiration. It's true, it's nudes, and I did decide to title it Naked Truth just because I thought it was a fun title. But just the way that the human body is put together and built, and all the things that it can do, and the emotion that it can convey, and something that's as simple as this one called Single Blue Female, where she's just this, you know, she's just there by herself with these splatters. I think that there's just something really that we can all relate to. And yes, it's true, there's a lot of nudity involved, but that's what happens when you study with these, you know, with these artists, and art history, of course, being full of all of these nude paintings. So it's, to me, it's very natural and very exciting. And I'm sorry that you know, if you feel funny about hanging any of them in your office.
Too late now.
So an example of what a source of creativity in this space is, there was an actual drawing class or a session we all put together. There were nudes models in the North Gallery, and that's from that
Yes,
session.
many of these are actually from drawings that I did at this very gallery a few months ago. We we blacked out the front windows so that we wouldn't have nudes on Wilshire Boulevard. Although maybe the passersby would have liked it. And I just, you know, got out my inks and my papers, and I just, you know, started splashing. It probably splashed half the people around me. But it was just this very liberating exercise to let the ink flow the way that it wanted to flow, and then go back and try and, you know, what was I looking at? What, you know, where was that figure that was in that splash? So it was, because a lot of people have said, oh, you must have done the charcoal line first, but it wasn't. It was the other way around, and I think that's why they turned out very lively. But I thank you to this gallery, and I hope we have more of those sessions too, because it was just so much fun. It was great.
It's like jazz. You're like improvising, and then you come up with this fine show. I find it's phenomenal.
Thank you.
And it's what our community does too. Like, not a lot of places do that.
That is true. It is a very special place.
Any questions? We'll take this gentleman first.
Did you use alcohol-based inks for the colors?
I did.
Another question is, in your models for the sculptures, did you use a non-toxic plastic clay, or what did you use for
Some of them are actual, well, most of them are actual real clay, you know, non-toxic in the sense that it, you know, comes from the ground, and you put water in it and mush it up, and you get real clay.
Yes, these fine people over here.
Can you speak to the color choices in this show?
I can, and it's kind of embarrassing because, no, it's all right. Once again, I was at, like Susan was saying, she was at Michael's. You know, I'm always like, you know, sale at Michael's today, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's see what I can get. And they had a sale on these inks that were these lovely colors. They had a blue and a green and a purple, and I bought them, and I decided that I was going to put them, that I was going to spray them. So I put them in a spray bottle, and that's when I said I splashed them. I literally sprayed them. I like spray painted these and then let them run and drip. So basically the colors came because those were the colors I happened to find that day. I did actually go back and get a red and a yellow, and I was going to show those. They didn't behave the same. They didn't behave as fabulously as these, but I still like them. So that's for another show. I'll do the reds and the yellows. Great question. Vic, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question. I'm trying to imagine how the ink gets on. I'm sort of between Jackson Pollock and the Dodger pitcher Yamamoto. How does it happen?
Well, I think
it
was a spray bottle, but I think it stems from the fact that they wouldn't let me play Little League as a child, so, you know, because I was a girl. So, but I really did, you know, I had the paper laid out on a surface, slightly elevated, and I just, you know, just really sprayed it so that I wanted the line of the figure. So sometimes that worked out, like the one that Mark is standing in front of, that actually worked out. The figures actually came out pretty well defined even in the ink, and I just had to add a few lines to them. And some of them I really had, some of them were just, like this one, it's like, it just came out as this sort of splotch, and I thought, but in there somewhere is the figure. So that was my process. I sprayed it, and then I wasn't worried about what would happen. I thought, well, if I don't like it, I'll, start another one. But for some reason, it was so liberating. It was very freeing to be able to do this without having any expectations.
Yeah. I just want to say, Elyse, I love the way that they dissolve, and that you play with the dissolution of the form, and then you bring it back with the drawing, and they play against one another, structure and nature, and it's all like kind of working together. They're just beautiful.
Thank you. I have to thank my art parents.
I think one of your art parents might have been Gallagher, the guy with the mallet and the watermelons.
Oh yeah, maybe. Well, next time it'll be watermelon red.
Did it work for you every time?
No.
Did you not see a figure in some of your?
I always saw the figure, but sometimes it just didn't turn out as to my liking, and it was very complex too. Like in some of these where both of these models were posed together, trying to do these two splotches at once and have these. If you look at this one, there's interlocking arms there, so I had to get the proportions right of these two models together and interlock them, and there's paint splashing all over the place. So you just, you never know what you're going to get, but you have to take the chance.
Mm-hmm. Rhonda?
I just wanted to make a comment. I think, Mark, you used the word like jazz. I think this is musical. They're just beautiful, each one of them. It has a movement to it, and it has, and I think, Victoria, you said it comes back and forth. They're great. They're lovely.
Thank you very much, ladies. I completely appreciate those wonderful words from fellow artists, especially. It's gratifying.
And I love that we have All I See is Blue, and in here, All I See is Nudes.
She's back to the nudes.
In blue.
In blue, yes. All right, well, if there are no more questions, that's Elyse.
All right.